The NB Network with Dee's Sparta.
Hey, it's me, Dee. Welcome to the NB Network. Today we are doing True Crime Tarot. It's a request, and it was the most voted on the community tab. The Villisca, Iowa Axe Murders. I've been trying. I was using the pronunciation so I can get the city right. Villisca. Oh, did I mispronounce it again? You know, I'm trying. Anyway, it's great to be back. I did take a vacation. Thank you for being patient. And I see I got some new subscribers. Welcome. Welcome. And I've been interacting with some of you who've been commenting and even messaging me directly, which is really wonderful. Thank you. I appreciate it. I love you guys just being so supportive and giving me all the ideas of what to do on this channel. But today we're doing, like I said, we're the Villisca, Iowa Axe Murders. Now, I noticed that there's like a parallel. Some people have gotten it confused with the Amityville house. This house also had someone use an axe and bludgeoned and killed a family. Another family was killed. But this case has never been solved. It happened in 1912, and it's been over 100 years. There have been plenty of suspects, plenty of theories, and I'm going to get into some of that. And if you want to know a little bit about this true crime, mystery, unsolved case, then just wait a moment and we'll get into that. Now, if you just want to skip, because you know enough about this case, you just want to skip right into the tarot reading, I will have these just set up with the chapters and you'll be able to find it, okay? So skip ahead if you wish. If not, let's get on to these axe murders in 1912. All right, let's dive into the Villisca axe murders of 1912. Now, there were 8 victims. There is Josiah Moore, who is the father, and he is married to Sarah Montgomery Moore. Then they have several children. There's Herman, the oldest, he was 11 years old. Catherine, who was just 10 years old. And then there was Boyd and Paul. They're 7 and 5. Now, there were also some other guests in the home at the time of these murders. There was the Stillinger sisters, Lena Gertrude and Ina May. Lena was 12 and Ina was 8. Now, what happened? This all happened around the June 9th through the 10th. They were found on the 10th, that Sunday morning, Monday morning, murdered. They were bludgeoned, brutally murdered. They were in their beds. Nobody has any idea who could have done this. So I think maybe, there's a lot of suspects, and I hope to find out, we get some. Now, Lena and Ina the Stillinger sisters were only there because they were invited by Catherine, who is the 10-year-old. She was like, hey, can they come with us? We could do, because they were doing some church events. So after church, they were like, can we get together? Can they come over to our house? And then we could go back to the children's day program with the church. And then they could stay the night. So, Josiah Moore or Catherine, they call the parents of the Stillinger daughters. They get the oldest daughter, and she's like, don't worry, I'll relay everything to my parents. Okay, this is fine. So this is why the Stillinger sisters were there at the house at this time. And this church services and the Children's Day program is important because one of the suspects is the Reverend. Yeah. This is great. But see, they went to the program, and it was like at 8 p.m. Sunday night. June 9th, and everyone saw the Stillinger girls and the Moore children were all participating. They did all this stuff, and the program ended about an hour and a half later. They all just walked home from the church. And then, sometime around, and they got there, it was only like a 15-minute walk. So it didn't take them very long to get home. It could have taken a little longer than 50 minutes with all the kids, like herding cats, let me tell you. It's impossible. Anyway, now, what we know, something happened between like 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. because that following morning, their neighbor, Mary Peckham, she's out in her yard, just doing her laundry because, they start their days early back then in 5 a.m. Now, a couple hours later, she's like, wait a minute, what's going on? Nobody from the Moore house has stirred. No one's out doing their daily chores. And she's a little concerned. She's like, everything seems so quiet. What's going on? So sometime after 7, before 8 or so, she went to the house and she's like, no response. And she tried to open the door and it was locked from the inside, not the outside, from the inside. So she's like, So she decides, okay, you know what? I'm going to help out. She's a good, helpful neighbor, let me tell you. She went and let their little chickens out, make sure they were taken care of. And she's like, okay, I'm going to call Josiah's brother, Ross Moore. And then Ross came over, they got in the house, and everything gets messed up. So the crime scene does not stay because of, they didn't get the sheriff over there right away. So from the investigation, what we know is 8 people bludgeoned to death. Now, what's interesting is the axe was also left at the crime scene, and it was left there with next to one of the Stillinger sisters, who were in a room in a guest room downstairs sleeping. And Josiah Moore, his face, the guy used the axe side and just mutilated him. Okay, and then he used the other side and just bludgeoned everybody to death. Very, very odd. The backside, the backside of the head of the axe, okay? Now, the doctor is like, okay, I think this murder actually happened sometime after midnight. So, but there was someone in the house. How did they get in there? The house is locked from the inside. It's all really weird, okay? The curtains also were drawn in all the windows. And now 2 windows in the house did not have curtains. And clothes from the family were put up to block. Also, all of the victims, their faces were covered with a bedcloth. It's like, I don't know, weird, but that was done. And it was after they were killed. It wasn't, they didn't put it on and then kill. It was after. They also found a kerosene lamp at the foot of the bed, but they noticed that the chimney wasn't on and the wick had been turned back. So, and I think the little chimney part of the lantern, that's little, these lanterns, it was under the dresser. They don't know if, maybe someone knocked it down or it was the murder, but they found a similar lamp at the foot of the bed of the Stillinger girls, which was the chimney had also been taken off. Odd, but okay. Things get weirder, folks. Get weirder, let me tell you. Now, the axe was found in the room where the Stillinger girls, the sisters, were. It was bloodied, but they had tried to wipe it off, but it wasn't done so well because there was still blood all over it. And the axe was Josiah Moore's axe. So the killer just took a weapon that was there and did his thing. Now, the ceilings in the parents' room and all the children's room had gouge marks from the axe. So the person picking up the axe going pretty high up, if you ask me. And he probably, I'm 5'2", so people like me, we could have done something like that. But so there was in the ceiling, the guy that's how much force. I mean, this like freaked me out thinking about that, you know. Woo. They did find a piece of a keychain on the floor, one of the bedrooms. Every door was locked. Now, this part, I'm going to be very careful. I do not want to, put a trigger warning that there was these little girls. There was a possible SA happened to Lena, the oldest. She had defensive wounds, like she had fought off him, and was not laying on the bed normally. It was kind of hanging, her legs hanging off, and her nightgown had been pulled up. And so that's the Nick factor. I was like, ugh. Now, and they had used like a coat to cover Lena's face. Now, there was also something really weird. This part I was like, what? They found a slab of bacon on the floor, propped up next to the axe. Yes, a slab of bacon. And it was like nearly 2 pounds. And then there was another slab of bacon, but that was in the ice box. Their freezers, kind of, they had the ice box. And it was about 2 pounds also. And the one found by the axe was wrapped in a dish towel. It's weird, okay? Bacon. But, maybe that's the bacon killer. I don't know. Maybe that's his calling card. I don't know. Now, they just couldn't figure out. They could see that the murderer had searched through things. In fact, there was a plate of uneaten food sitting on the table. Just one plate, uneaten, just there. And the guy had definitely gone through the dresser drawers for pieces of clothing that he used to not just cover the 2 windows that I mentioned, also all the mirrors in the house. And for me, that's a little interesting when it comes to the mirrors, because sometimes mirrors, they're considered a window. And it's like, I'm curious. There are several suspects. And let me tell you, there's some juicy motivation here. The top suspect, the number one suspect, is Senator Frank Jones. He was a state senator, and he also had a shop in town. And Josiah used to work for him. And did very well. But then he decided, you know what, I could do this myself. Started up his own little venue store. And with him, he took the contract for none other than John Deere. That was a devastating blow to the state senator. Because, if you ever been out, John Deere, track John Deere. Okay, that's big. So that pissed him off. But there was something else that could have pissed off Frank and Frank's son. Apparently, Josiah was having an affair with Donna, Frank's daughter-in-law. You heard that. So some believe that Frank Jones actually hired someone who's kind of considered maybe a possible serial killer. Oh yeah, his name is William Mansfield. Now, he was actually arrested, and they tried to figure out all this stuff, because he was known as a serial killer, because this dude, he did get arrested for I think he's responsible for the killing. This is bad, folks. The axe murders of his wife, his baby, father, and mother-in-law in Illinois. And then it was 2 years later. This was 2 years after the Villisca murders. Now, there was another 4 days before the Villisca murders, the murders of Jenny Peterson and Jenny Miller in Aurora, Colorado. And there was a lot of similarities between the axe murders and the things, you know, with the covering of the face and covering of the windows. So there was like, well, you know, maybe, you know, he is known as a serial killer, and he also was a drug addict. They called his choice was cocaine. Now, they didn't have any proof of the Villisca murder, so he was like, oh, you know. Now then I told you, remember, there was church, and then there was the Children's Day program that comes in once a year, and the reverend who showed up in the town to hold this event is Reverend George Jacqueline Kelly. Now, he was arrested like in 1972 because he confessed to these murders. However, his confession, because you see, he was there the night and then Monday morning he was gone. So he was a suspect because he just left fast, skedaddled out of town. And they were like, that's sus, man. And, you know, there was some just things about him that people just, little out there. But he made this confession, and they thought, wait a minute, was this under duress? Was he tortured? What the heck? This is not good. We need to withdraw this. This is making a mockery of the investigation. The police were just like, oh, no. And so that got pulled before his trial began. So there was no confession during the trial. And so he actually had several trials. The first trial was a hung jury. And then finally, through all these, he got acquitted on the second time. Now, after this, Kelly, with his wife, they moved to Kansas City, and they don't know where, maybe in New York City. He just gone, disappeared. But he was a suspect because he did confess, but I don't know. Then there is Henry Lee Moore. Now, Henry Moore is not related to Josiah Moore or his family. But, you see, possible he was a serial killer. And there was a detective, a federal officer assigned to the case, and he was like, I've solved 22 other murders that have been committed in the Midwest in the same time frame. And Villisca, it has got to be this guy, Henry Moore. And he also killed family, his own family. He was actually convicted of the murders of his mother and grandmother in Columbia, Missouri, just months after Villisca. Now, both families, the grandmother and mother, the murders were brutal, just like the ones in Villisca, and it was done with an axe. Now, but they didn't have proof to hold him and keep him there, so it was just a theory the guy, this federal officer had. Now, then there's this other guy, Out Dee, and I kind of feel bad for him. He was detained by the sheriff. See, his employer was got spooked by poor little Out Dee, who is a homeless man. He's a transient hobo, and had gone into the town, had been there, and then left the next morning and got a job. He walked up to a foreman, the bridge foreman, the pile driver of Burlington Railroad. And he was like, hey, it was 6 a.m. Monday morning. And the thing is he's like, hey, I want to come. Can I get a job? His shoes were covered in mud. His pants were wet nearly up to the knees. He looked a mess. He was in a suit, but it was a mess. It was a mess. But he asked, he was like, hey, please. And so Thomas Dyer, who was the foreman, he's like, all right, I do need an extra man right now, and I have a spot for you. So he hires him. Now, apparently, when the murders came out and it was in the paper, poor little Andy sees this, and he's like, okay. And he mentions to Dyer, his boss, that he'd been in Villisca that Sunday night. And he was afraid now that he would be a suspect. And his talking about, and the fact that he kept having the paper and he was so obsessed with these axe murders, well, they got suspicious. His boss turned him over to the sheriff. But seriously, there was no tie-in. So no motivation. The dude was just like spooked. Then there's this other poor dude, Joe, who we only know as Joe Ricks. Now, he was one of the early suspects. He was arrested in Monmouth, Illinois, because when he stepped off a train wearing shoes that were covered in, guess what? Blood. And so they were like, hey, there's something sus here. Now, he also kind of fit the appearance of someone whom the Moore's niece, Miss Faye Van Gilder, she was 16 years old. Now she is their Mr. and Mrs. Joseph Moore's niece. And she had a weird experience with a man who came up to her, a total stranger, kind of like abruptly comes up to her and is like, where do the Moores live? And it spooked her, right? So she goes and tells her aunt, Mrs. Moore, hey, there's this man and he looked like this. And he's asking, where are you living? And Mrs. Moore's like, whoa, hold on here. I seen a stranger with that description. He'd been hanging around my place, our home. Oh my gosh. So the niece remembers, has this conversation, and then the next day when her aunt and uncle and cousins and everyone's brutally been murdered, she's like, whoa, maybe I should say something. So she reports all this, and they bring her in to see if she can identify this Rick guy as the stranger who had pretty much accosted her, wanting to know where the Moores lived. But she's like, wait a minute. She shows up, she's with her mother, and she's brought face to face with Rick's, and she's like, that's not the man. Nope. And Rick is like, my shoes, that you claim they're bloodstained, I obtained them from someone else in a trade. Another person who he said was just a transient hobo tramp, just like him. He's like, it was a trade. I got these shoes. That's sus. And then from then on, there's been all sorts of confessions. People have tried to say, oh, it was me. And some of these confessions, they just did not stick because this person's like, oh, I did it, but he wouldn't have been old enough. Or they said he killed 6 people, but it was 8 people who were actually killed. So all these other things just, and a minister comes up forward and is like, hey, some guy confessed to me in his deathbed, but I don't remember his name. I was like, really? So that didn't go over so well. They couldn't get anything. He's like, I don't know the guy's name. I couldn't tell you much about him. I just know he died a year later or 2. So that's pretty much where things are at with these murders. I mean, nobody knows exactly what happened, right? And there's plenty more, that says you've got serial killers, maybe hired killer, because, well, and then there's the Reverend who actually confessed to it, but perhaps under duress. So, if you're curious like I am, because I'm like, I'm confused. I have no idea what happened. But there's just something I keep getting drawn to, and I feel in my spirit something to do with the Stillinger sisters. And I don't know why. It's like the connection is the sisters. The connection is those sisters. But maybe we'll find out a little bit more as we do a tarot reading. All right. So stay tuned. Here we go. Hi, back, and we are here to get this tarot reading done. Let's see here. I'm really curious what the motivation was. Oh, punch a card. No, I don't want a pile of cards here, folks. Also, before I start, I should remind y'all that everything here is alleged and for entertainment purposes only. Please keep this in mind. There is absolutely nothing what I see in these tarot readings, these psychic readings, that could ever be used in a court of law. Alrighty? So with that all said, let's begin. Okay. Oh boy. So, I think we know where this motivation's headed. Yeah. So, there's the little page of swords. We got the lovers. Yeah. And stabbed in the back. Okay, so wow. We got this. All right, so if you hadn't listened to the other part, we're talking about possible suspects, and I'm looking here, and we're seeing, the swords here. Well, it's like, this is just someone who's really thirsty, someone who's like, I need to be able to do more, and I full of curiosity and just always coming up with new ideas. And so I'm seeing this new idea is starting his own business. I'm picking up on Josiah more here, as this is what he's done. And the Lover's card, there was a relationship that he had an affair, and it stabbed someone in the back who he's close to. That's what I'm seeing here. And I think, like, ooh, okay. Ooh. Yeah. The new ideas is with the money. Yeah, he had broke a deal. Yeah, that's Josiah here. Oh. Okay. So, wow. This is like the beginning of a business I'm seeing here. And but it was a loss. So there's somebody whom, because of the new knowledge, Josiah here going, I want to do this, it took away from someone else. And the man is connected to whom he had an affair with. Now, the backstabbing here, and then, we get the wands here. It was, this was actually upside down, if I remember correctly. So this just Josiah fucked up, and he betrayed probably his boss, the senator. This just is like laid out here, folks. I mean, wow. But I'm curious about those Stillinger girls. Something's off with that. They were supposed to be at their grandmother's, and then they were there at the Moors, and something spooked here. Okay. Mm-hmm. Someone who worked for them. Okay. All right. Now, so this is the Five of Swords. You know, you see here, this is a maid. This is someone who works. This is I'm seeing there's a big, huge disagreement. They're like in a workplace disagreement. And the person was going to win at all costs because of his loss. He wanted basic revenge. And this is, the Six of Wands. Interesting. See, here, this is, we're looking at a fall from grace. We're looking at someone who, they did something that was very naughty, which is making this definitely an affair that he had that's connected to someone. And then we have the Eight of Cups. So this is like, the Eight of Cups. It's here, the backstabbing, missed opportunity. This is just a lot of regret. This is just, they need to escape. They're a very shallow person, and they're very disappointed. They feel abandoned. And that, I think we can, that's like, wow. Okay. So I have to say, I didn't expect. That's, wow. I do want to pull out another deck, a different deck to use. Hold on. Okay. Alrighty. Now, this is the Lenormand Oracle card deck, Oracle deck. This is a really nice tarot deck that I've really been drawn to, and I use like on a daily basis for my own personal stuff here. Okay, so, okay. Let's see. I want to get one more card here. A lot of anger. A lot of anger. So, see these beautiful cards? I'm make sure you can see it. Now, this here is the is 30. It's also known as the King of Spades, and it's got these cute lilies, right? Now, the lily is this is all about family, but it's dealing with an older generation. So we're dealing with a family here, which we know. And then there's a little mouse. This is 23, which is the Seven of Clubs. This card, just take a look at it here. This little guy is like in panic mode. There's been damage, there's been theft. He's missing something. And what is this little mouse nibbling at? What is he going for here? And okay, then we have 42. Okay, 42, which is kind of like all the cards together. This compass. it's taking stock of the family and all the loss. This is someone who he had to make a plan because his family was betrayed. Okay. Six of Hearts, which is card 16. That's interesting. A trip. Oh. Okay. So, and this is the 10 of Spades, while this is the Queen of Spades, okay? Now, okay, so place this here, which, I'm sorry, I am legally blind. It's sometimes hard for me to see things, so I have to kind of be like, and I'm not wearing my glasses because they're bifocals and it's a mess, so they don't always help, so. This is the astrology. This is all the signs you can see here. It's the stars. This is, you know, someone's hope and dreams, and it is about family and feeling lost. And this here, the 3, the 10 of Spades, often it's talking about traveling. There's someone that wanted to travel. They missed opportunity to travel, I'm guessing. Interesting. Okay, and then we have Queen of Spades, which is card 9. Now that, this is beautiful. This is usually means it's like a gift. You know, you give these stuff, the flowers, as a gift. It says banquet, a beautiful bouquet, and it usually means something like luck. But with that here, I am seeing, because it's right under 42, which this, there's something weird here. Someone felt they got lucky. This is looking back, processing all that they've been through, all their losses and everything, and yet I'm lucky. I got away with this. Ha ha ha. And he hurt my family. I'm getting my revenge. That is, you know, this guy, he was full of a lot of hate, and he was very powerful. Yeah. 36 is the cross. Ooh. Over the family. Oh, the Ace of Hearts. 28. Okay, and this is 22. Oh boy. So here, look at this card, right? 30s. This is suffering. This is a sacrifice. It's like also very religious, but when you put it next to the family, everything, that, and then 28 here, which is the Ace of Hearts. It's got the Lord, a man. So this is basically means there was a guy here who committed a sacrifice, and that the crossroads here, they made a decision. They changed their mind. So he made a deal with someone. He did. And that man went ahead and did the killing and and got away. So I would have to say, yeah. I'm thinking Frank Jones, the senator, might have been very upset and did possibly, allegedly hire someone to do the killing because of his family, the disgrace on his daughter-in-law, the breaking of his son's heart, and I know the son was really upset, and the father's like, I will take care of this for you. You'll never have to worry about this guy again. And the fact that he is a state senator and he was a businessman and he had lost such a huge contract and he wanted it back. Eliminate his competition. That I just see, and I think the poor little Stillinger sisters, something, I'm just feeling so off. There's just something off. I'm gonna pull out a different deck here, okay? This is, okay. Okay. Oh, okay. I'm getting the P word. Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay. Now, this is the Four of Cups, and this is usually like, when it's upside down like this, it's like I'm missing on an opportunity. I'm not paying attention. I've got anxiety issues. But it also can mean just withdrawing and avoiding your issues, avoiding things. And then we have the Six of Swords, and the woman is on her boat and she's trying to get away. But you notice this is reversed. So when it's in reverse like this, it's resisting to change, and it's dealing with unfinished business. Oh yes, something unfinished. What did the Stillingers ever do? Because here's the Temperance card, and it's in reverse, and just a poor judgment was made. I think that's what it was. The grandmother. And I think I'm seeing the older sister who was like, gave permission. I think she holds a lot of guilt. I think she's been being blamed by her parents of, you did this, you authorized this, you said it was fine. Yeah, you allowed the devil in. That's what happened. And yeah, woo, see the Judgment card. Yeah, she's dealing with a lot of guilt. She feels guilty. And the Ten of Cups. And it's in reverse. And that just always breaks my heart. Seeing that, because, you know, that's the family. And everything is all just been... It's all crushed. So, I think that's what... I think... the Stillingers feel like they got left out in this. I think they blame the daughter who answered the phone, was like, yeah, I'll relate to my parents. And yeah, it's really sad. It is really sad. I think she had a pretty rough life. Holding back. She's just punishing herself and letting others punish her. Taking on a burden that really isn't hers. Yeah, that is sad. That's really sad. That breaks my heart. It's just like, that family there needed to be healing. I mean, look at the bottom card here, the Two of Cups. I think the sisters, the ones who are murdered, they don't blame older sister. And they don't blame anyone. It was horrible what happened. Okay, that just was heavy. This did not end how I thought it would. And now I'm like, But if you enjoyed this reading, please hit the like button. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because I know, even though I'm getting new subscribers, there's a lot of you who are watching this video who are not subscribed. I know. I can see it. So please subscribe. I'm going to try and get back onto a regular schedule of at least one reading every week and a bonus reading later in the week. Now I'm going to try and get the readings done every Wednesday. So it's like Wednesday tarot reading. That'll be fun, right? I just, I'm thinking if someone is watching this and they're feeling heavy guilt for a loss because of a decision they made, you need to know you're forgiven, and don't let that guilt, those feelings, because you're putting it on yourself and it's manifesting and tearing you down. You need to realize you are loved. You are not to blame. And stop trying to relive and try and figure out what you could have done differently, because you're just going to be focusing on the past, and you need to let that go. You need to forgive yourself. Forgive yourself and let it go so you can have a life, because the one that you feel like you hurt and betrayed, just like the oldest Stillinger daughter, don't let it destroy you. Don't let it keep ruining your life, because they want you're alive. They want you to thrive. You don't need to live in punishing yourself, okay? I just felt I needed to say that. And comment down below, or message me if that message helped. You can always private message me. I do have my socials down below. I'm usually not on Instagram, but you can always message me on Twitter. I'm there. I'm Princess Sparta, at Princess Sparta. Yeah, I love you guys. I really do, and I appreciate you. Let me know other readings that you'd like to do. I have a long list, and I'm taking into account, and I'm just going to keep putting some of these suggestions out on the community page for all of you to vote on. Please watch for those polls, and I appreciate your comments in them and your voting, because it does help me, prepare. If you also liked how I did go into a little bit more detail about the crime and then did the reading, if you like that, let me know. Or if you just wanted to skip straight to the tarot, let me know. I want to know so I can make these videos entertaining and for you all. I really want to have this be something, you are involved with my channel that way. And I do listen to everything you guys are telling me, okay? I appreciate it so much. I appreciate all of you. And I love you guys. And I will see you next time here for True Crime Tarot. Bye. Oh, please remember, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. Bye.